When the Nashville flood hit, it was possibly one of the greatest losses of musical instruments that has ever happened in my memory. And my memory goes back far enough to study history so that I can't think of any event that has truly taken out so many instruments at once. I've always viewed instruments almost as though they were alive. They have soul, they have personality, and the great instruments are a partner to the players. They're not simply an inanimate, soulless object. They actually work as a team with the player, and they suggest what you might do. They do some of what they're told, but they make suggestions too. And they really shape and guide careers at times. When Bill Monroe got his F5 mandolin in the early 40s, his whole style of playing changed. And I think that's true of other people as well. If they hadn't found a Fender Telecaster or a Gibson Les Paul, and all they had were acoustic guitars, they wouldn't have been able to do what they did. And there are certain acoustic instruments that do the same, that just absolutely are a partner to the musician. This was a tremendous loss. As such, I was losing sleep over it. And one of those nights, though, I finally did get to sleep, and this dream came to me that when Peter Townsend or Jimi Hendrix would smash a guitar on stage, people would go up and they'd grab those pieces, and years later those pieces can sell at auction for $10,000, $20,000 or more for a fragment. And those are fragments of guitars that weren't their favorite ones. They didn't smash their favorites. These are favorite instruments. These are instruments that were the partners of these players. And we have some great pieces on stage here that are up there on the stand. We have John Jorgensen's guitar, we have Peter Frampton's guitar, we have a guitar from Brent Mason, we have one of Brad Paisley's main guitars, we have the Gibson J60 that Vince Gill debuted his first Opry performance on that guitar. We have Keith Urban's guitar, we have a guitar that was generously donated by Martin that Joe and I took backstage at the September 21st grand reopening of the Opry House after the flood renovation, and that place has been very heavily redone. But it's signed by a bunch of Opry artists as well as some others. We have one of Duane Eddy's guitars, we have Amy Grant's McPherson, and we have one of Kathy Mattea's guitars, all here. But this is not all that we have. There are over 50 guitars, and there are more still coming. We're still receiving donations. In fact, Doug Green, Ranger Doug of Riders in the Sky, just as I was here earlier, within the past hour, I was on the phone with him, and he's agreed to donate his Martin Grand Ole Opry guitar to the cause. It is sitting upstairs in my shop as heavily flood damaged, but still a great piece of art, and a guitar that was meaningful. These are really meaningful, significant guitars. These are the guitars that actually created these artists' sound. So this is a very rare opportunity, and it is an opportunity also for these instruments to live on and to make a further contribution. Instead of ending up in some landfill, these guitars will go on to live, and the money that is raised will go on toward important, good causes. So they will not have died in vain. And so I think it's hard for me to really say much more about them. Guitars are just the ultimate pieces of art. You can look at a painting, but you don't touch it, you don't hear it. A piece of sculpture, you can touch it, you can feel it, it's sensuous, it looks good too. But the guitars, you see them, you feel them, you hear them, and when 10 different musicians play the same guitar, they'll each sound different. Each person has a different touch, each instrument responds differently, and the great instruments are like they are alive. They have soul, they do tell the instrument what to do as a partner. This is the chance to have a real piece of history and to make a contribution to a good cause.